You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Muller.
And this is Ken Muller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. For today's show, we are going to talk about solar energy. And we have as our guest, Brendon Shank of Solar Landscape. Brendon, welcome to our show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yes, well, thank you for coming. So we are excited to learn all about your company and how you guys provide solar energy for a lot of the commercial industry. And
absolutely.
Yes. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was fun coming on the way over here.
Yeah.
We just had an event in November of last year with Mayor Delina in Monroe Township to activate a project there that's now serving. It's a Heitman rooftop there, and that portfolio is now serving 1,400 people nearby with solar energy at a discount. So huge props to Heitman and others for hosting sites like that.
Right. And just so we have a general listener base. So when most people think of solar energy, they think about the residential aspect, but to distinguish that, your company, Solar Landscape, you guys specialize in providing solar panels for the commercial industry, warehouses and office rooftops, which is a very cool idea.
Well, thank you. I wish I could take credit for it, but it really goes to our co-founders, Sean Keegan and Corey Gross. Yeah. They really have pioneered and now become the nation's leader through Solar Landscape of putting solar installations on very large commercial and industrial rooftops. And the good news is in New Jersey, we have a lot of those. So it's a real gold mine for creating clean energy and can be a real resource for commercial real estate owners as well.
Right. So in New Jersey, tell us about how much to date, how much solar landscape you guys have installed in the state of New Jersey, roughly.
Roughly, it's a little hard to say in New Jersey overall. We've deployed about 400 megawatts of energy on, I think, 70 million square feet of commercial rooftops nationally. We've grown very, very quickly over the last couple of years, and a lot of that is in New Jersey, but not all of it is in New Jersey.
Right. And I would think it would be I know with residential structures, the rooftops are often not flat, but with, like you so well stated, with New Jersey, there's a ton of warehouses and more being built, and it's still a very low vacancy rate, like 1%, 2%. So I would think that one of the things that the installation would be relative, I don't want to say easy, but being a flat roof and having a nice, a few 100,000 square foot warehouse, it makes the installation a little bit more manageable than.
That's exactly right. And it's with flat roofs, you can do a lot more. It's a lot easier to do. And honestly, you can put a lot more solar panels on a given one. I was just earlier this week, it's been a fun week. I was just up on one of our commercial rooftops where we have a installation in Perth Amboy. It's a Prologis building there. And we were just doing the rough math, and there are 2,000 plus solar panels on that installation alone. And so it's a lot easier. It also centralizes the power, and it also puts the energy where the people are. A lot of times when you do the larger like ground mount or big solar farms that we think of when we think about solar farms, they're way further off. Mm-hmm. So it's less efficient to bring the energy there. Yeah. Whereas if you have a warehouse that is close to residential communities and households, some of them may even be low to moderate income, those are great places to put it because it puts the electrons have less distance to travel. Yeah. So it's more efficient and puts less of a burden on the grid overall.
Right. So why don't we talk about how the mechanics of the system work, and then we'll talk about some of the other questions, how New Jerseyans can get more involved in this whole concept. So the grid. So when you guys supply the solar panels on the rooftop of a warehouse, so it's not like with residential where necessarily the power, what you collect from the sun doesn't necessarily go to power that warehouse. It could be used or is used to power third party.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what happens, especially in the community solar model in New Jersey, is that the power generated on these large commercial rooftops is then distributed out to nearby households at a discount. So instead of, like you said, for residential, 2 or 3 solar panels, maybe a dozen solar panels go up on the rooftop, and then that gets, goes right back to the homeowner. In this instance, what happens is it's what's called front of the meter, because it doesn't power the meter that's servicing the building.
Okay.
The energy that we generate up on the rooftops actually doesn't go to the building at all, bypasses all of that infrastructure, and goes straight back out into the grids for people to subscribe to, individual households. And what's cool about New Jersey is that more than half of those households are required to be low to moderate income households. And those people get solar energy at a discount, which is great because a lot of those people have really been bypassed by a lot of the innovation in clean energy. Like not a lot of people, low to moderate income households can afford to buy a Tesla. So this is a great way to include more people in New Jersey and really around the world, around the country, I should say, in our clean energy transition.
I have a question. If any panel broke or anything, and what happened?
Oh, that's 100% on us. We have an entire department that does operation and management, and they have a large dashboard that can look at any panel on any rooftop at any time. And what you will see on those is if there all of a sudden something breaks, or even if something is obstructing the sun to getting to that panel, they'll know pretty quickly, and we'll find out about it very quickly and be able to respond to it appropriately. We also do a lot of routine inspections and operations and maintenance on all of those, on-site inspections, remote inspections, and then also flying drones over to make sure that everything's great.
So they are all individual panels. So if 1 or 2 broke or have a problem, it's easy to replace and repair, isolate that issue, problem one.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so in these installations, Solar Landscape owns these operations. So there's nothing that the landlord or the tenant has to do about this at all.
Okay, so it's all there. Yeah,
I'm taking it one step further. We're going to talk about, without giving out the the monetary cost, but conceptually, you reach out to the landlords or the owners of the warehouses, and you say, hey, we want to put in the solar panels. You'll pay the owner of the warehouse a rent rate in order to install your solar panels, which Solar Landscape will install, maintain with it, and the trade-off is that you get the rights to the energy collected from those panels for you to distribute to whomever or whatever you want.
That is exactly the model. I couldn't have said it better myself. What we say a lot of times is that what a lot of New Jersey's leading commercial real estate landlords are doing is welcoming the sun as a tenant. So think about this. This is really what you're doing is this. They are the least demanding, longest term tenant you could ask for.
Yeah.
It generates rooftop revenue.
Yeah, I don't think
for the landlords.
The generator is going to last a lot longer than our generators, which might be 15 to 20 years. I think the sun's got a couple billion years.
That's exactly right.
So I don't think we're going to run out of it.
We haven't gone contracts billion-year contracts yet, but they're traditionally in the 20-year range. So what it means is once you do this, you are generating rooftop revenue for a long time at very low operations or headache costs.
That is so cool. Yeah, I was reading one of the articles that you shared about Greek Real Estate Partners, one of the largest developers, and if not the largest in New Jersey, and they've got about 1.3 million square feet of their warehouse spaces that are, have your panels on them, and I guess that must provide a tremendous amount of energy. And I think their managing partner said it's a huge win and a new source of revenue, money from the sun, right?
Absolutely.
So you're becoming, it's like a landlords are making not only making money on the tenants in the inside, but on the roofs as well. It's great.
Absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Greek has been a great partner in that stuff. This was so what happens with community solar in New Jersey is that you do we work on an application. We develop the application on behalf of a landlord, and then we submit it to the state government. And this was our first time working with Greek, and they bat 1,000 with us. All of the applications that we worked on with Greek were approved by the state. So we're looking forward to starting on construction on those very, very soon.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about how more New Jersey commercial landlords can get involved, and maybe we should also please give your contact info. I neglected to ask you for that. So please give your marketing stuff so these listeners out there and landlords can reach out to you.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, first and foremost, everybody's welcome to reach out to me. It's just Brendon, Brendon at solarlandscape.com, or just hit the website up. We also have a one to go directly to email for folks who are interested is just partners@solarlandscape.com as well.
Solar Landscape, one word, yeah.
Solarlandscape.com.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right. And so now, obviously, you guys want to continue to provide this great customer service to additional landlords. So how can more commercial real estate partners get involved in helping?
Yeah, the great news right now is that earlier this year, Governor Murphy expanded the community solar program, which creates even more opportunities for commercial real estate owners to get involved. That just means that there's more capacity for us to submit for, which means that our commercial real estate owners have more opportunities to have applications to say yes to. So the best way is to get in touch with us, and then we go through kind of an evaluation process and then an application process.
Okay.
So what kind of a requirement? You said, I mean, obviously, you mentioned you're going to help the owner to apply. But just rule of thumb, basically, what kind of properties is most likely get approved?
Very large, flat warehouses and industrial and logistics spots. We're looking for things that are usually about the ones that work the best, about 30,000 square feet or larger.
Oh, I was going to say,
yeah,
okay, because that's not super.
That's
okay, because that was my question too. How many square feet? Up to 100,000, but 30,000. That's doable.
There's a lot out there.
There's a lot out.
We think that right now there's only have about 1 out of 20 rooftops covered in solar that could be. So when you fly in and out of Newark, or when your listeners fly in and out of Newark, look out the window next time, because what you will see is naked rooftops everywhere. And you look at those white rooftops and you say, you know what? Solar should go there and there and there and there. And that advances clean energy and can generate revenue at the same time for the owners.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
If you're the commercial property owner, if your rooftop more than 30,000 square feet, please call.
Please reach out to Solar Landscape. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back to our show. We're joined today by Brendon Shank of Solar Landscape. So, Brendon, we spoke the first part of the show. We spoke about all the great benefits to the landlords, how it's a win-win because they're getting revenue from their rooftop leasing it. Because you guys are, renting the rooftops to install your equipment, and and we touched upon how this is a front of the meter, meaning that you guys collect the energy from the solar panels and you redistribute it to the communities, and it has to be these. I guess the program is that a lot of it has to go to the low income areas that and they're offered the solar energy at a discounted rate too. So let's please talk a little bit more about how the community benefits from this, from jobs and the whatnot.
Sure. We talk about it all the time that community solar creates jobs and reduces costs. And that's why it's so great to see so many commercial real estate partners getting involved in it, and also to see the expansion of the program. First, when it comes to creating jobs, I think about some of the installers that we've hired over the last couple of years. Solar Landscape has had a ridiculous growth trajectory. We've tripled in size over the last 3 years, essentially, since I joined. And we have like a 3-building footprint in Asbury Park. Soon we'll need shuttles to take us from one building to the other.
Oh, wow.
Not really. But it does mean that we are creating jobs as we're continuing to grow and connecting the commercial real estate community to the communities surrounding their buildings. In terms of connecting those buildings to the households, what happens is nothing actually goes inside the landlord or the tenant's building.
Okay.
And that's what you will see if we could go over to the one in Monroe or other places nearby. And what you will see is there's actually a conduit, a series of very large wires that go outside the building and into a transformer. So nothing ever goes inside the building in the community solar model.
Sure.
And then from the transformer, it goes into the grid. So, from there, it goes in just like any other kind of energy generator would. You have to think about these things as like mini power plants where they are generating tremendous amount of power. Like, for instance, the Heitman portfolio in Monroe is now generating enough power to distribute to 1,400 households.
That was my question too. And how big is the one in Monroe? How big is it? Roughly the size of the rooftop?
Yeah, I think it's right around 5 megawatts, if memory serves correctly.
I mean in square footage though.
Good question. I'd have to get back to you on that. It's big though.
Yeah,
like for example, what kind of is it on top of the warehouse?
Yeah, it's on top of the warehouse there.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a rough idea. Like for example, like we spoke about Greek development, they have about 1.3 million square feet. I imagine that can power a hell of a lot of households.
Absolutely, that is quantitatively exactly how many. A hell of a lot of households.
Yeah,
but that's what's great about it is that now they've become a real community partner and community resource to the people surrounding their buildings.
Yeah, it's environmentally friendly, and plus you're saving the planet because you don't have to rely on generators which generators need fuel to produce the electricity that people don't realize. So that's all cutting down on the fossil fuel consumptions, and it's great. It's great for the environment, and it's good for the economy. It's good for the landlords, and it's good for you guys.
Yeah.
So,
that's exactly. I mean, you nailed it right there. That's what we've heard recently from a lot of. I was talking with some of our teams yesterday. I said, "Hey, what are you hearing, especially from the Central Jersey and commercial real estate crowds?" And one of our team leaders said, 3 years ago we would have to explain, oh, this is solar. This is why it's beneficial, and this is why you should do it, and blah blah blah. Now what he says is he's seen a real momentum shift or a real momentum build where the commercial real estate owners and builders are coming to us and saying, we want to do this for a lot of different reasons. Maybe it's because we've got environmental sustainability and or social and governance goals, ESG goals. Maybe it's because we're looking at vacancy rates or rental rates and thinking, oh, how do we boost that? Like, where do we add a little bit to that stack of revenue financially? And then the third piece is really, a lot of times they also have institutional partners that are asking about how they're getting involved in the clean energy transition. So that momentum has really built, and so we're getting the right questions nowadays.
Right. How about the roofs? To be a good candidate for the installation of solar panels, I guess you guys have to evaluate the roof of the warehouse and make sure that it's a suitable candidate.
Absolutely. That's exactly where we start. Once we hear from somebody who says, "Is this a good candidate?" We do a full-on inspection. The roofs, usually, the best candidates are roofs that are either 1 to 7 years old or ready to be replaced, because we can always work through the replacement issues as well. And as we said, those are at about 30,000 square feet or higher.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Right. And you guys are based in Asbury Park, so you're saying you're expanding there. Do you guys actually make the panels?
No, we work with we do the procurement of the panels, but we're very vertically integrated in the sense that we would do a lot of our own subscriber acquisition. We do some of our own government relations stuff. We do a lot of working directly with the CRE owners to make that lift as light as possible as for them. But then we also do the engineering, procurement, and construction, or EPC.
The installation, the whole
100%.
It's a big, absolutely. So you're there from the beginning to the end and make sure everything
and
goes. And then some, if there's any for the maintenance, for the replacement, repair. So it's a very that's really great avenue. And then, so the communities you're in, can you talk a little bit about some of the residential communities that are benefiting from the programs in New Jersey, anywhere in Central Jersey that's
Well, I thought at some point we were just going to debate Central Jersey, where that begins, where it starts.
That's right. East Brunswick is a center.
I think
that's what I thought too. That's why we were
East
here.
Brunswick, that's right. East Brunswick was declared the center of the state, and that's right. There's a whole talk that South Jersey isn't really Jersey, that it's really it should be its own because it's part of Philly, and it's everything from the mentality, the sports. It's all Philly. If you go to Trenton, they're all Phillies. Whereas up here, you're in New York.
That's exactly right.
I don't know what Asbury Park, where you guys are.
That's exactly. Sometimes I will go to Asbury Park, restaurants, and see Phillies games on the background, and I'm I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that, and I'm a Phillies fan. So.
Yeah, I would think that's Asbury Park being Bruce Springsteen. I think that's like Jersey. That should be like more of a New York Giants,
and me both.
Jets thing.
I totally agree.
But I don't know. Everything's changing, the demographics.
listen, the benefits are great for the residents. Actually, there's the benefits in terms of getting access to clean energy. Think about the people who, in low to moderate income households that may not have been able to get solar before. Yeah. Maybe they don't live in, maybe they live in an apartment, or maybe they rent a home. These are all places that you couldn't use residential solar before, or you live in a condominium building. All of those things.
Right.
Community solar opens up access to all of those. And so when they've seen other homes that have solar panels, and they're like, that would be great because I spend a lot of money on my energy every year.
Sure.
Being able to create some discount for those folks is really helpful. And then also to create jobs where those projects are. I think back to one of our installers who lived in Neptune and heard about solar landscape through some of the nonprofits we work with in workforce development. And then he came to one of the product launches or ribbon cuttings that we did for a project in Neptune, which was literally just down the road from where he lives or where his family lives. So you think about the virtuous cycle we're creating thanks to the commercial real estate hosts of job creation near where that energy is being generated cleanly.
Yeah, that is so cool. And besides industrial warehouses, can you install the solar panels on other commercial structures besides warehouses?
That's really where we stick to because it's mainly the most because there's a lot out there.
It's flat, it's economical, and it's
that's exactly right.
A lot of large apartment building has a flat roof.
But the problem with the apartment buildings is if Brendon was saying they typically want at least 30,000 square feet for the rooftop, most apartment buildings are not going to be the long flat warehouse type. The apartment buildings are going to be more tall, vertical, and narrow. Especially if you go to Manhattan, there's tons of them, but none of them are going to be 30,000.
But they may have 30 buildings.
But
that is true. We will, and this is something that's really important for the discussion here is that, we know that people have large Greek is a great example, right? 13 building portfolio, if memory serves, and each of those is a little different. And so everybody has lots of buildings. We can do, we do large portfolios to kind of help boost that across the geography.
Is there any government grant or support for the time being to the owners or to your company?
There is a lot of momentum for clean energy, both federally and at the state base right now. First, there was the Inflation Reduction Act passed a couple of years ago, federally through the Biden administration, which has now created a lot of incentives for clean energy, including community solar. And we look forward to using those benefits to create real-world benefits for the people on the ground. And that means jobs. That means reduced costs for environmental justice and LMI, low to moderate income communities. So on the federal level, that's great. There was just also a Solar for All grant, $7 billion announced by the EPA last week, I believe. Which Governor Murphy's already talked about, investing in community solar as well. And that was federally. That was
federal.
Nationally.
So New Jersey won't get the $7 billion, but maybe
to the best
of
I know we will see. I think around $150 million of that. So not small. Governor Murphy and the Murphy administration and the BPU have been huge advocates for clean energy transition overall, and we're excited to be one of the state's most clean and shovel-ready options for that transition.
Right, and I know you only do the front of the meter right now, but is there in the future is there possibility that if the warehouse owners wanted to actually have solar supply their plant, that if you have extra juice from the panels, you could also do back of the meter connect to that warehouse. So you could also have, like homes typically have their the solar panels supply their usage, and then if they have excess, they can sell it or back.
Absolutely.
That was just a thought.
In fact, that's how the company got its start.
Yeah.
We started about 12 years ago, and Sean and Corey were the ones doing it, and it happened well before the community solar program. Sure. So so a lot of it was what they call PPA agreements, where they install the solar panels for the energy to be used by the building, and that's certainly still an option. At the end end of the day, it
Yeah.
reduces fossil fuel
Fuels,
use
right.
and can reduce costs for the building regardless.
Right. Okay. Brendon, thank you so much. We are just about out of time. So please, again, share your contact info for Solar Landscape with our listeners.
Absolutely. www.solarlandscape.com, or you can reach out to me at brendan@solarlandscape.com.
And that's Brendon, Brendon, at solarlandscape.com. Thank you so much for sharing
having
with
me.
us everything. It
fun.
was very informative. It was great. Think green.
Please call.
Please call.
call.
Please call and email them. Check them out.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next week. Bye now.